associating with muggles.
Has anyone ever wondered what this hatred was between wizards and muggles? Actually, it seems like it's one-sided, with wizardkind absolutely despising anything and everything to do with mugglekind. However, was that always the case? Surely they didn't just decide to hate non-magical people. Surely there has to be a reason for such a high level of tension. What I want to investigate in today's video is where this hatred stemmed from on the wizarding side, and what part the muggles played in order to cause it, or if they even caused it. Was there a war or some sort in the past? Let's take a deep look into what happened between wizards and muggles. So it's pretty obvious from the many examples in the Harry Potter books that there seems to be a bitterness towards muggles from a wizarding point of view. In fact, some wizarding families made it their ideology to never intermarry or breed with any person who wasn't magical. These families actually considered it a complete insult to even associate with muggles, let alone be in their presence. Families such as the Blacks, Gaunts and Malfoys would never break with these traditions. We've seen Lucius Malfoy make his feelings clear more than once, as did his son Draco, raised in the same light. Although I can't really call such practices and beliefs light, if I'm honest. From their hatred of muggles spilled the equal hatred of muggle-borns, the biggest disgrace of all, a muggle giving birth to a muggle child who has magical powers, something the pureblood supremacists like to address as stealing magic. Although I disagree with their views, you might say it's possible to at least understand their anger that two non-magical people can create a magical one when magic itself is so cherished in the wizarding world. It always had me wondering, what happened? How did it happen? And when did it happen? What even was it that happened? In order to answer all of those questions, we have to go back, way back, centuries back, even before the time of Hogwarts. Well, shortly before the time of Hogwarts. A time when there wasn't a separate magical world. When magical and muggle people were integrated together. A time when magic had to be hidden as it was considered evil and supernatural. It was associated with the devil. As many of us know, Christianity was a heavily dominant religion across Europe, especially in Britain. And in those times, religion was basically law. Muggles were always subject to a higher power. It's been said time and time again that only God should have the power to perform feats of magic. To do anything out of the ordinary that would insinuate evil was basically a death sentence. Magic wasn't understood back then, and as history shows, what's not understood is feared, and what's feared is usually sought out to be destroyed. So many innocent people were hunted, captured and killed for having magic. It wasn't just wizards and witches, even muggles were wrongfully convicted and executed for the crimes of witchcraft. Just look at the Salem witch trials across the pond in the US, burning people alive at the stake with minimal if not zero evidence of witchcraft to back it up, just merely accusations. Before Hogwarts, tensions between muggle and magical people were at an all-time high, which makes me wonder, was there ever a war between them? Something that we were never told about. A war doesn't seem too far-fetched, and if I'm honest, I believe wizards and witches were being slaughtered. Despite having the use of wands, the sheer number of muggles to wizards was 100 to 1, and it's pretty clear that their weaponry would be superior too. Swords, axes, bows and arrows would completely overrun the rate at which magic could stop them. This war could have been a turning point for wizardkind to finally take the decision to permanently split from the muggle world, to create their own society, far away from any threat. So the creation of these separate worlds or societies leaves the wizarding families with a bitter taste in their mouths. They're angry. They've had their family members killed, and their families before them were also killed, all for being magical, for being different. They held onto it and never really let it go. Don't get me wrong, not all wizards agreed with taking such measures, but breaking away would last for centuries and it would still exist today. It was family tradition to pass the knowledge of the troubles that wizardkind had with muggles in order to preserve the overall goal of keeping the two races separate. When the four founders built Hogwarts to coexist with the stabilization of the new magical world by giving the children a safe place to learn and practice magic, this is where problems arose. Originally, the founders were happy to teach all students, pureblood, half-blood, muggle-born. As long as they were magical, they had a place at Hogwarts. However, while Godric Gryffindor, Rowena Ravenclaw and Helga Hufflepuff were happy with Muggleborns arriving at the school to be taught magic, Salazar Slytherin was not. Even going to inform a Muggleborn that they were magical was a danger. Nobody had any idea of how the parents would react. It may not have always been good. Slytherin hates the fact that children born from non-magical people could attend the school he helped build. After these people had contributed to slaughtering wizardkind, witch hunts, public executions, being burned at the stake, so many stories, so much history of the struggles that Salazar's own kind were put through, is it any wonder he felt that way? That's the thing, he has a point, it's just how he goes about it that's completely wrong. Salazar felt so strongly about protecting wizardkind that he consistently argued his point, which then caused a lot of infighting between Slytherin and Gryffindor. This resulted in Salazar Slytherin departing Hogwarts for good, never to be seen or heard from again. The man believed so strongly in not teaching Muggleborns that he abandoned his life's work. I know the actions of pureblood supremacists are extreme in Harry Potter's time, but for one of the greatest wizards of the age to abandon everything he helped build because of Muggles and Muggleborn children, it had to be something really drastic. It had to be something big. It had to be a valid reason. In addition to that, breeding with Muggles was watering down the blood purity of wizardkind, so it was definitely something that pure-blooded wizards took extremely seriously. It stuck with them for over 1,000 years. What began as keeping to their own and remaining separate then turned into a hatred, a bitterness for the measures that magical people had to take in order to protect themselves. Why should they have to hide? Why do they need to conceal their magic? Why can't they be who they truly are? It was magic that wasn't understood by Muggles. It was years of suppression. For some wizards, enough was enough. It was time to take a stand.
I refuse to bow down any longer.
Unfortunately for pureblood supremacists, those who felt this way were in a vast minority, as the wizarding community of Great Britain had become well established, had more than enough room in their secret world, and were actually quite content. This genuinely infuriated the minority, who had now begun to grow tired of it. Nobody truly decided to make a stand until Gellert Grindelwald, followed by Lord Voldemort, two men who actually came extremely close to winning as well and changing the world for the better. Well, in their eyes, that was. It was also important to note that although some people, well, a lot of people were given the ultimatum of join us or die, there was a lot of families who supported Lord Voldemort, the Malfoys in particular. Now, the Malfoys are interesting because they are one of the oldest families of the wizarding world. Their ancestor, Armand Malfoy, would have arrived in Great Britain midway through the 11th century. He would have been first-hand witness to the early tensions between magical and muggle people, as the wizarding world was just barely established. He passed his own distastes for muggles and muggleborns onto his children, raising them to believe and embrace in a pureblood ideology, and look down upon those who were not fit enough to warrant a place in their society. This ideology soon spread to many other families who all committed to keeping the bloodlines pure. The Gaunts, for example, direct descendants of Salazar Slytherin himself, took pride in never breaking their line, even if it seen the family name become extinct, which it did. I really do understand how awful it must have been for wizards and witches back in a time when there was so much uncertainty. It's no secret that they were hunted and killed because their gift was not understood, and I feel that they did have every right to disassociate themselves with muggles back when it was originally happening. but to hold on to such a grudge, such a hatred for over 1,000 years, to kill and torture people as punishment for something their ancestors done so long ago, is completely wrong. The pure-blooded families failed to move with the times. They failed to see that life goes on, society and culture evolves, and to still uphold quite an outdated tradition will always see them in a minority. It is shown that whether someone is pureblood, half-blood or muggle-born, once they have magical DNA, it does not contribute to one person being more powerful than the other. Power is sought after and achieved. Being magically gifted simply opens the door to power. Tom Riddle was a half-blood and became the most powerful dark wizard of all time. So guys, I'm sure you can see that pureblood people just didn't start hating muggles out of the blue, but it stemmed from somewhere. The only thing I can't confirm is if there was some kind of war between the two races. Maybe JK will confirm it one day. Anyway, with that being said everyone, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you have a great day and I'll see you all in the next video.